Hey scrappers, if you're looking to figure out what materials you should sell this week or hold this week, now is the time to do it. Our weekly report is going to give you that information, up-to-date market news, pricing. Let's get right into it and we'll talk about it inside. Hey scrappers, Tom here from the iScrap app, and today is Wednesday, May 7th. 2025. It is 1 p.m. Eastern time, and we are live. So if you have any questions, let us know. And before I go into the market report, we've had so many people subscribing to our channel, becoming YouTube members, and just following the videos that we put out there. So if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to our channel so you can learn more about the scrap metal markets and what's going on in the industry, and hopefully help you make more money. That's kind of the goal here, for you to make more money on your scrap and to report prices to the iScrap app. So what's going on? It's May 7th. We're 4 months in. We're over a month past the Liberation Day that President Trump announced with the tariffs, which has just caused all types of confusions to the market. So where are we, and where do I think we're going before I really dive into some of these things? Again, ask any questions. We are live right now. I see these tariffs as unbelievable negotiating tactics, and we now have about 60 days left in the 90-day trading pause that the Trump administration put in. So what I expect to see happening this month, again, I can't guess anything, right? But what I expect to see happening is beginning of major country deal announcements. Now, all of the articles I read, the people that I listen to, say that if we start to see some of these major announcements coming out, whether it's with deals with India, Japan, or any other, European countries, or the European Union, if we start to see some of these coming out, it's not going to be one every week. It's probably going to be one today, one tomorrow, one Thursday, one for, it's going to be quick, because and it's not going to be all in one day, because they want to be able to fill up the news cycle. So maybe there'll be 2 to 3 in a week, major ones. And then as the weeks go on, as we get into June, a few more. Trump is a exhibitionist, where he likes to be able to have this big show, right? So he knows that by the 4th of July, that extra 60 days is up. We have America's birthday, and then we go into the summer. So you have those July, August months that become less watched, less attention paid to. So I expect to start to see these tariff deals being announced and these trade deals being announced in May and in June. And if any of them are not done by then, you may see an extension on the pause, or you may start to see some, of these tariffs going into effect in August, or possibly in July, if there's not a mini extension. So if those things happen, I do expect to start to see deals being made. Okay, Tom, how does that affect the scrap metal industry? We have a question? I can pause. Okay. How does that affect the scrap metal industry? As soon as some of the deals are announced, I think you're going to start to see mini jumps. No max jumps, right? No big ones. But there is news that on Thursday, the Chinese and the United States are meeting in person in Switzerland to talk for the first time about where we're at with these tariffs, where we're at with negotiations, and what things could look like. So if we start to see rumblings, it was a positive meeting with the Chinese. A week from now, 2 weeks from now, the United States is scheduled to meet with the Chinese again. Well, now you're going to start to see deals coming out by Memorial Day. And then the big one is what happens with China. Now, that's going to be one that's going to take a little longer, and I do think is going to take all of the summer and may not happen until September. So copper prices are going to be in a little bit of limbo, but the good news on copper is we've been able to see the market stabilize in relative terms compared to that first week in April, where it was just chaos. So that's good. We saw it bottom out. We saw it go back up, and now we've been in a range. So we haven't changed our prices at Rockaway Recycling now. I think, what's it been, Virginia, 5 or 6 days? That's pretty good, considering we're changing them every other day. So that's the beginning of a little bit of stability, right? market was up 9 cents yesterday, down 14 cents today. I didn't change them up yesterday. I didn't change them down because in my mind, that's kind of an offset. They're about even. So that's what's starting to happen with some of the trade talks, some of the tariff talks. And from here, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think we had a couple of questions. Let me get to some of those. Lamel said, do you think the Doge stimulus checks will impact metal prices a lot? Number one, that is not happening from what I know of. They talked about stimulus checks going out to people. Nothing is actual news on that. So I don't think there's stimulus. So I hope you're not expecting a check. I don't expect the stimuluses to happen at all. I expect that to be savings. And I think that those are some clickbaity type of things that they talked about. So I don't think, even if the savings increase, I don't see any impact on metal prices. Steven says, am I going to REMA next week in San Diego? I just told my sister, I hope so. My plans right now are no, because I'm scheduled to go on another business trip. But if that trip doesn't happen, I probably will shoot out to San Diego for a couple of days, and maybe I'll do this live from San Diego. So I'll continue. Any more questions for now? No. So copper prices week over week down about 2.5%. We're starting to see more of the manufacturing coming to the country. We've seen almost $10 trillion committed to the United States to start expand manufacturing of cars, cell phones, electronics, different types of chips. That's going to be strong for the copper industry. But I don't see it happening in the next 18 to 24 months because it takes a long time to build factories. So a lot of this demand for copper right now is going to be at the levels that we're at. But, copper mills in the United States can only process so much. And if we have a lot of these tariffs on incoming copper or aluminum or steel, it may start to affect these prices more. So right now, copper prices, I'm super happy with them, all things considered, 4 months into this year. And if they continue the way that they are for the rest of the summer, I'd be really happy with that too. But I do think we're going to see a little movement. And if we see a deal made with the Chinese, right? Again, this is all just speculative talk, right? A deal with the Chinese, I could see increasing copper prices in one day, 25 to 40 cents. So like a deal where it's like an announcement is made where they have the infrastructure on it and they're ready to execute it. And it probably may be made into this big thing with both presidents present. That would be a major market shifter. So that would be the biggest one I'm looking for. But I do think that big deals with India will move the markets. Big deal with the European Union will move the markets, and big deals with Japan. And then lastly, the United States, kind of that USMCA between Mexico, Canada, and the US. If some type of deal can be made there, then those are kind of the 4 or 5 major outlets that I'm looking at that will quickly affect prices. So hopefully that goes from there. Steel prices. Don't really want to talk about steel prices because there's not a lot of good news, man. There's like so few good news pieces on steel prices. We've seen prices down again week over week, about $20 a ton. Light iron prices and shred prices on a national scale might move down to that 110 to 125 range by the end of May, by the time orders are filled that were taken out in April. So I keep rubbing my eyes because I just see numbers going down and down and down. There's only so much margin in there. So if you go to your scrapyard and they offer you 4 cents or $88 or $90 a ton for light iron, don't be surprised. I mean, we're down to 100 a ton at Rockaway Recycling, maybe 110, 120 for large loads. But we're at $100 a ton for our light iron prices. And a lot of other people are dropping really quickly, especially on what's called cut grades, the heavier grades. I don't see a lot of good things happening. So steel prices are down. We talked about energy last week. Those prices were down. They're back up about 3% week over week. I do expect to start to see these average fuel costs for Memorial Day down another 10 to 15 cents. And I think that national average will be below $3 substantially by the 4th of July going into the prime time travel season. So I think that oil prices are going to continue to drop. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I believe on Monday, President Trump goes to Saudi Arabia. They've teased about an announcement. I don't think that has to do with oil prices as much as maybe them joining the Abraham Accords or something like that. But if we see something happening in Saudi Arabia with an increased output of gas and oil, that might help bring the markets down. Question, V?
Statement from Jason.
Statement from Jason. Jason says, if shred drops any further, I'm going to stop scrapping. It's lost about $60 per ton in my area over the last month. It has. Here's what I'd say to that, Jason, before you just kind of hard line stop it. When markets go down, these are major opportunities to pick up new customers and make money where other people don't want to. And I've seen this happening over the years where guys that are always hungry will go and find new customers, because what's going to happen is some people aren't going to pick up their steel anymore, right? So that's going to decrease the competition. Some people are just going to be told, oh, I'll take it, but I might need to charge you. That's going to happen. And when you continue to take steel in, right, consider that your loss leader. Oh, I'm going to keep taking the steel. Well, maybe you get the aluminums, the coppers, the wires attached to those things. And that gives you the ability to make money on the non-ferrous without turning the ferrous away. So, there's very few jobs that I say no to at Rockaway Recycling unless I know we're just going to lose money on them. Oftentimes we'll do jobs. We're doing many jobs right now at break-even costs to maintain the customer. So when the markets do turn around, you have an upward trajectory moving forward. So just something to think about, Jason. Any other questions? Jeff says, why is there such a difference in the price of rebar compared to other iron? Great question, Jeff. Rebar is much harder to process. Rebar is made to be strong. Rebar is made to support concrete. When a shear, right? You got your piece of rebar, you got your shear here, real fancy we are, right? And it goes to cut. It has a hard time cutting. What happens to the blades is the blades kind of shift. So you can see my fingers went from being lined up. You put that rebar and you go to cut it. Oftentimes the rebar will shift. So now the blades are no longer centered with each other. That causes the edge of the bit blades to rub. When those blades rub, they become weakened. When they become weakened, it makes it harder to cut. Sure, they can cut one or two pieces at a time with no problem, but generally rebar comes in off of job sites mangled up. Think of a rat's nest. Think of a demo site where the rebar and the concrete go through a crusher to get the concrete off. So when you have these rat's nest of rebar, now you're cutting through 5 or 6 pieces, and it really screws those blades up. Okay, so think about cutting through spaghetti that hasn't been cooked, right? Straight spaghetti, and you get a big bundle of it. It's going to be really hard to cut with a pair of scissors. It's a good illustration, actually. It'll be easy to cut one piece with a pair of scissors, but when you cut multiple, it's harder. So generally, scrap yards have to torch it. Torching takes more time. Time costs money. Thus the price being lower because the processing it up. Hopefully that helped answer the question. Another question we have here. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Matt Jake. What do you think the top price of copper will be this year? On a trading level, we already hit $5. I think it will match the trading level. I think it got up to $5.09 per pound trading wise a couple months ago. I think it'll go back up to that on the premise of seeing some trade deals strike. What I'm more interested in is if the margins start to shrink, because I have seen the largest margins on copper ever. And if the margins start to come down, then I can see pricing going up at the scale. But on a trading level, I do see copper hitting $5 a pound again. And I heard something today. It was a trader talking about the stock market, right? But the trader said, if you start to see these major deals, Japan, European Union, U.S, Mexico, Canada, India, China will just leave lingering, leaving as we just talked about before. If you start to see these things happening, deals being signed, big press announcements, and then ceremonies happening, you're going to see quick jumps to these markets, especially for our good export partners. If those things happen, I do see copper prices increasing. But again, China, right? That's where we're going to look at. And if that deal is ever announced this summer or sooner, yippee-ki-yo, that opens up world trade again. That gives us more ability to tighten margins and increase pricing. And hopefully that helps give you a little information. Any other questions? Another one?
Yes.
Another question? Bring them. More questions. We're live right now. Simon says, the e-scrapper. Could CRT scrap be accepted again with the rare earth metals push goes on? Push goes on. CRTs are negative value and cost money to refine. Great question, but CRTs have lead, so they're not really holding the niobiums, the lithiums, the nickel that's needed. So I don't see CRTs being like a major source for rare earth pushing. But I believe last week, the United States and Ukraine officially signed that minerals deal, gaining access to Ukraine's minerals. That's something that will help. But again, that's still 2 to 3 years away from physically materializing. Any other questions for now? No? Okay. So let's talk about catalytic converters. Catalytic converters have seen about a 5% pricing increase. Hip, hip, hooray! That's awesome. I didn't expect to say that. Platinum prices are up. Palladium prices are up. Rhodium prices have stabilized. The team over at RRCats, we finally started to see our national average going above $72, which it's kind of been for like 6 months. I actually looked at our website the other day and I clicked on our national cat average and I go, why is it just so flat? Thinking like there was something wrong with our system. There's nothing wrong. It's just been flat this whole period of time. So we haven't seen much of an increase, but we are starting to see numbers ticking up. We are starting to see more scrappers coming and getting quotes and then cashing in on those quotes. So where the auto industry goes the second half of this year, catalytic converters will go. If we start to see announcements, I believe the Fed's meeting today and they're not going to announce a rate cut. It should be happening within the next hour. If they do, if you see a rate cut today, you're going to see markets go up immediately, and that's going to make it cheaper to buy new cars because the payments are less. In addition to that, other things I could see moving the catalytic converter markets. Trump's continually talked about not having or being able to deduct the interest made on payments for cars. What does that mean? You were putting off buying a new car because they became too expensive. You were going to have to borrow money at an interest rate that costs more money. Well, what happens now if that car, you're like, oh, wait a second, I can buy that car at $40,000. The interest rate is higher, but all of the money that I pay in interest, maybe it's $200 a month. I'm making these numbers up. $200 a month times 12 months is, $2,400. That number is going to become deductible under Trump's tax plan. If that happens, if deals are made and if interest rates go down, more people are going to be buying cars. It'll be interesting to see then, are they going for EVs, hybrids, or regular gas combustible engines? Well, we see those ICE engines, the internal combustible engines, picking up more steam on the sales market the second half of this year, maybe sooner if we see interest rates decrease. I heard that they're not going to do them today, but there's a good chance of 2 to 3 cuts happening this year, between 25 points to 1 point. So that's 20.25% to 1% interest coming off. That will make it cheaper to borrow money. That will make the interest payments cheaper. Those are things that could spur more people going out there and getting vehicles and taking on loans where maybe they have their vehicles changed or paid off. And that's something that could help the catalytic converter market as well. Any other questions before I talk about aluminum? No? Let's talk about aluminum pricing. I'm going to read this quick note right from oilprice.net. New U.S. aluminum tariffs have caused domestic premiums to soar, while European premiums fell sharply due to redirected metal flows. The resulting price gap reveals a challenging arbitrage opportunity, complicated by high duties and logistical barriers. So aluminum pricing and tariffs on the aluminum from China, from Mexico, 25%, have made the aluminum in this country more valuable. We've seen that throughout this year where aluminum prices have continued to stay really, really strong. Strong aluminum prices, strong scrap prices, more manufacturing into the country is going to increase those aluminum prices more. And I see aluminum as one of the greatest growth metals that you can have while scrapping. And I'll just plug ourselves for a second. Scrappers, we have so many videos in our YouTube library about how to upgrade your aluminums. You need to check these out. It's going to give you the ability to make more money. It's going to give you the ability to learn about different grades of aluminum, 6063, cast aluminum. Do I strip insulated aluminum wire? When is it worth stripping? We have lots of videos on that. And as aluminum prices continue to strengthen, you should be looking at these numbers and saying to yourself, how can I upgrade my aluminums? So that's just something else that I'm thinking about and kind of going from there. Any other questions today, Virginia? I think I hit mostly everything. Lead prices relatively flat. We did see stainless prices climb by about 2 or 3 cents. I know that's not a big sexy number, but it represents about 6% week over week. So I look at it as a percentage wise opposed to like a price per pound wise. I'll take a 6% increase in pricing week over week. That's awesome. I think that's great. And I would take that all day long. So scrappers, listen, you need to report your prices. You know, if you have the ability to do it on your phones and download the iScrap app, you can report your local prices that you're receiving. That helps the national averages. That helps you remember what you got in the future if you're going to do reference points. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you like our videos, become a YouTube member of ours. You get early access to these videos. And we have these videos in all different sizes, shapes, forms. So check out our YouTube page. This way you can see where the videos are and where you can make more money with them. Today is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Until next week, my name is Tom from the iScrap app, and I will scrap you later.